This is the Standard Fluids Splashcast. This is episode number 2 of the series that we started recording with more in-depth stories, some behind-the-scenes conversations about what we're doing at Standard Fluids, a little bit of the history of our team and how we got to where we are, and just some general fun updates about the things that we do at Standard Fluids. This episode, we're going to be talking about what is Standard Fluids as a brand, as an organization, and why we're not just the fluid we sell, but why the people behind the organization really matter, and what you can learn from us and the stories we have to share. Really excited. So today I've got Kelvin Cabrera, who's our international operations and sales manager, and then we got Gonzalez, our trusty president, El Presidente.
Yes.
And you guys have a lengthy history. You guys have worked together for a long time, so I'm excited to hear some of your stories. Again, I'm the young guy, right? So I get to learn a lot from you guys and hear some of your stories. So this is exciting to talk about. So let's kind of get started there. And Lewis, if you want to get things kicked off, that'd be great.
Great. Thank you, Nolan, and thanks for your enthusiasm and excitement to be part of this team that we're building. It's been quite a journey, from the beginning when we brought this, the core team together. It was August of 2023, and as a result of the exit of a company that really changed the world and the science behind some of the technologies that we know of, both in the engineered fluid realm that apply to a number of applications that are critical to not just the industries such as the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense, but on the commercial sector in the development of semiconductors and the advanced hyperscale computers with AI platforms rolling out, requiring a different type of solution that simple air-cooled technology is not robust enough to keep up with the with the heat output from these GPUs and CPUs. We're blessed to have an amazing cast of team members in our organization that were the inventors of that chemistry. So the science behind it, as Nolan said, this is about the team that is looking to and continues to be in the forefront of the chemistry that the world became very comfortable with and adopted. So we talked about a little bit about the chemistries, that are used in different applications in energy sectors and in the military applications, but also in fire protection. This became a global standard. So the development of that product was and is today the global standard. It's the gold standard, So, we are very privileged to have the inventors of those molecules on our team. And as a result, we now set the standard, and it's about branding. And it's about the products that you trust and why are those important.
Yep.
And that's why we're here, So we're very lucky to have some great partners with us already, and we're looking to add more over time. Obviously, the name Standard Fluids is new to most of you. The big behemoth names out there, the big 800-pound gorillas, which is where we came from, but we are setting a new standard. So the NoVec brand was something that we, as a team and as a company in the past, created. And now as we shift to Standard Fluids, we continue to do the same. So we're excited to be able to talk one-on-one with you and your teams in the future. And that's what this is about. So thanks for kicking off the conversation, Nolan.
Yeah, no, and you touched on it perfectly, right? Is where that standard name comes from. It was I know there was some evolution, some discussion as things were being put together back in 2023.
Yes.
And what does the name become, right? And I think ultimately when standard was come across, it was like, well, how much clearer does it get there as far as setting a new standard like you touched on, but we're setting a standard that is built on trust and confidence of products and product quality over the years from previous organizations, right? Organizations that you guys have experience with and everything. But I think Kelvin, you have some very interesting kind of perspectives on that quality from an engineering standpoint. You've worked with engineers. You yourself are an engineer, and this is kind of your wheelhouse. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about Standard Fluids and where that standard really comes into play.
Sure thing. And thanks for having me, Nolan. It's been great. It has been a great adventure. As you know, I am an engineer. I actually come from the telecommunications side. After 20-something years, that's most of my experience. Until the day that I started working, I got called into being trained by Mr. Paul Rivers himself. I got called in back in 2012 to be trained by him and the other experts in the industry. Oh my gosh, that changed my life. I mean, people ask me today, "Are you you're a chemical engineer, right?" I said, no. I got absorbed into this just because when I was able to see the kind of impact that we can do every time we change a spec, every time we change a customer, to learn new things, to learn about the impact of sustainability. It sounds cliche. It sounds like really nice, but it's a fact. I mean, and since 2012, which is I think the year that I started working more directly with the chemistry side. Oh my gosh, I had a friend who told me, you love the telecommunications side of your business, but when you talk about the chemistry, you sound passionate, and that's really what got me into it. And not being a trained chemical engineer, of course, I had to learn a lot of stuff, and I still do. I mean, we have of course, Joan Owens from our part who's helping us, or Steve Pignato. Yeah, I mean, they are that's their wheelhouse, as Louis says. We have those guys, right? And it's a magical team. And now that we've been able to shift it to things in our way, I remember our first meeting over there in Chicago that we talked about what do we want to do different, what do we want to improve, and things came up, and that's what actually makes our now brand, our brand, our name. We are gonna set the standard. We're gonna be the standard. We're gonna sustain our legacy. Everything that we built, it was done because of us. Okay. Yeah. It was done because of all the individual inputs that each of our teammates has made. And oh my gosh, it's so exciting. And I just came down to from Chile yesterday, as I mentioned. And I mean the excitement over there of having people. It's so good to have you back. I remember, people thanking, taking the time to thank you for what you've accomplished through the years with them, or what they have accomplished through our help and support. I mean, for me, it's very humbling, because we're used to doing so much stuff, and then somebody comes to you and says thank you in a big way, and it really puts you in perspective that yes, it's been a journey. It's been a fun one, and it's really gratifying to see that people acknowledge that, not for where we were, but for who we are.
Yep.
And that's when you think of why Standard Fluids, it's all about the people. It's all about the team. It is.
Right. And there's got to be some elements to it, right? Where I've been in various elements of the fire protection industry for a couple of years, right? But now being on this side of things and having the interactions that I have with engineers and specifiers, installers, and even some manufacturers that we work with, it to me has become very clear that the products always worked very well, right? And that was, the intent of the engineers, like you mentioned, John Owens and Paul Rivers, and that the whole team behind these products and the molecules that made them. They obviously set out to build the best, most long-lasting products that they could, that delivered the quality that customers really wanted. But it never was about the fluid, right? It was the support and the back end behind it, especially when we look at the fire industry. And we can talk a little bit more about the engineered fluids industry, which is evolving and developing even today, right? And very recently.
Yes, it is.
The fire protection industry lends us an interesting perspective of, ultimately we sell fluids that go into systems that we really hope never have to go off. But when they go off, they need to work. But in that interim between when a fluid is installed into a system to that time where a discharge happens, the continued support, the continued engagement that we have with those customers, making sure that we're answering all the questions they may have, making sure that we're there to contact whenever they need it. And I think it's just very interesting to me how, yes, on the surface, we sell products, right? But we're a service provider for whatever the industry may need, for whatever help we have. We have customers who reach out to us just looking for questions all the time. And I think it's very interesting to see how that's kind of taken shape. It's much more different than what I thought it could have been when I initially came in and joined you guys here at Standard Fluids. But it's been really cool to see that happen and being able to deliver some of that quality and some of that reassurance. Because I'd like to talk a little bit about what were those standards, right, that were set or created previous to us at Standard Fluids that laid the framework for what the industry has come to trust and rely on, and the efforts that we have gone through at Standard Fluids to make sure that those are not only just maintained but continue to be exceeded and monitored as closely as they are. The most forefront one that comes to mind is just our certificate of analysis and making sure that it meets that. But I'd love maybe for Kelvin to kind of go into a little bit of detail about what is the back end, some of the codes and standards behind those that say this is what they need to be and why we issue those certificate of analysis with our products.
Nolan, I just told you I'm not a chemical engineer, man. You're putting me in the spot. Nah,
I know, but you're that. Yes, you're the one I always go to with all these questions because you know this stuff so well.
So back there's a lot of history here and a lot of standards have been placed. And when you make a certificate of analysis, I mean, the purpose of the certificate of analysis is not to let the customer, hey, this is what we used to do, and this was approved in 2005 or 2010 or 2020. This tells you that the ingredients that you are getting are the ones that has been spec. And I mean, each drop of agent that we make is, comes 100% certified. And that's actually coming back to as you mentioned, like the history. That's what we used to do. That's what we use. For us, that's a normal day to day.
Yeah.
For us, it's as common as me having my morning coffee. Okay. We do things this way. That's one thing. So that certificate of analysis is not only about the purity and the acidity and the level of residue and the toxicity profile and all the details that component is the fact that we make sure that you get that as an end user. We make sure that we do 100% batch testing of it, and not only because we're doing it, we set up an independent party, as we've always done historically, to set that standard there. Okay, we're not changing, we're not compromising. Just because we are a smaller company, we're doing things smaller. No, actually, it's the other way around. Just because we're a smaller company, we're being able to do even better things. So we've been honing, perfectioning, optimizing our processes to make sure that the level of quality that we are bringing into the table is even higher. Okay, so we're setting the bar. That said, I mean, that's the key element on when we go to the customer. Okay, is what makes our brand is the experience that you have and you have had with us, and the one that you will have. As you mentioned, it's not only about closing the sale, but going with the customer all the way through. The experience of owning a system, the trust and the credibility that we've built through the years is part of what carries us, ongoingly. And actually, the emotional connection that we can make with our customers. Why? Because I mean, it's been so many years, and even though there are changes and hurdles in the economy and the worldwide, the global agenda and whatever's happening, we are still there, and we're working together, to the path.
Yeah.
All while having everything, as I mentioned. I mean, we always have the data with us, and that's
Right.
something that's been very characteristic of our team, and that the customers have appreciated. It's not because we say so; it's because we say so, and I mean, I carry my tool bag with me, right? And then that's something that our customers.
Yeah. No, I totally. I completely understand kind of from that customer standpoint, a lot of that support element and that sort of quality reassurance, and kind of touching back to the previous NoVec brand of products, right? Louis, you had a lot of connections. I mean, you oversaw, correct me if I'm wrong, but you oversaw North America, sales for the NoVec 1230 products, and you interacted with a lot of these customers very often, and probably heard some of their maybe complaints or some of their heightened questions that they may have had, and all of those came together to continue to improve and continue to make the products better and the service behind the products better. And I know that's a big thing that you have always hit on from day one when I first met you. Was it's about the service, it's about the support, it's about the customer relationship building and everything. And so I'd love to hear for you where, again, it never really was about the products. It was more about the support and the quality of support that we provided of things. But I'd love to hear some of your perspectives, and maybe some of those challenges that had to be overcome in the early days that, hopefully we don't have to come across anymore because of what was done previously.
Yeah. So, the evolution of in this, we'll talk for a minute about the fire protection sector, has changed over every decade or so, with the evolution of sustainable alternatives, looking for something that's safer for the and safer people, that puts out fires amazingly. We obviously have had a lot of fun with this product that our team invented, over 25 years ago. And when you see it and you demonstrate it, it's a huge wow factor, because its physical properties are something that, in the history, and this is a pretty impactful statement, in the history of fire protection, there's never been anything like it. So it behaves differently. It's very safe for the environment. It's safe for human occupancy. So we're inside of a data center, we're inside of a 911 call center, we're inside of a mission critical place where we're depending on this product to protect the equipment. We're involved in in systems that are protecting applications that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You've got aircraft, you've got satellites, you've got all types of technology that, if you put the wrong media, so the media that we're talking about, there's a number of alternatives out there in the fire protection sector. Water, since the time of man. How do you put out a fire? You put water on it. So very easy. Water protects structure, protects property, it protects lives. But when it comes to infrastructure, you need something beyond water, and that's where these materials come into play, because in today's world and modern science and modern technology, water destroys the same equipment that it is intended to protect.
Yeah.
So you need something different. And that's why, in the history of computing, as an example, data centers traditionally used something beyond water. They used halon, they used then HFCs. And as these products were discovered to be not safe for the environment, the development of new molecules allowed us to come up with new products that solved and checked those boxes.
Yeah.
Again, we have the team that invented those products. So
Yeah.
we're working in the Americas, working in the global sector. When we were part of, the company that developed NoVec, was amazing, because it was an opportunity to educate customers that weren't aware of what these products were.
Yeah.
And it was also an opportunity to really engage with a number of different customers that were global, and we're blessed to have some of those customers with us today. So those OEMs that really are in the front lines every day are advising their clients as to what the best solutions are. And there's a number of different applications and different products that are available in the market. Selfishly, I'll say that we have, without a doubt, for those type of applications, and you can query this with a number of different engineers, that when you're protecting something that's of high value or of high risk, you don't want to jeopardize that process, that application. You can compromise a test that's been going on for research for a long time if you put the wrong product in it. So you have to be careful in the selection process, and it's not always what's the cheapest product that checks that box. That can come back and create a major problem for institutions. And what does that do? It destroys brands. We're here to protect those brands. And that's why it's important to understand that what we're doing is trying to keep the level, that standard at the highest possible, echelon, because what we're doing is, as you said, Nolan, we're not only providing a product, but it's more of the service. And we're engaged every day in discussions, in participation, in different types of associations that are in the forefront of trying to understand how do they pivot if something comes at them, that could be a negative, and who's going to be there to defend that science besides the engineers that invented it. So that's what Standard Fluid brings to the table. It really protects the brands. Why do you use an Apple phone? I'm, the Google and Android folks out there, nothing against, but you use your particular phones because you trust them. It gives you the service that you need, and it's always there 100%. That's what Standard Fluids is about. It's about making sure that what we provide our customers is backed by a quality because of the team that developed the science. And we make sure that every single drop, like Kelvin said, has a certificate of analysis, goes through a rigor that, unlike others that may think they know the Coca-Cola recipe isn't public. And that's what we know. So we make sure that what our standard is maintained for you, our customers, or the end users that are looking to protect infrastructure that at the end of the day is the lifeline of their company. And if there's a problem, it could compromise that brand. So the Standard Fluid Corporation, which is a USA corporation, is here to do exactly that, is to protect those brands that are looking to work together with us for their solutions and their applications.
Yeah, no, and something that I found kind of interesting that you talked about was that the change from what were the previous, clean agent solutions or fire protection solutions that NoVec 1230, right, initially came through to be that replacement for, and the challenges and hurdles that you had to overcome, right? You were working with companies to understand that you've had this application that you've previously protected using these systems, and now there's a better solution that's come along.
Sure.
Now we're in the position of, well, this is a known solution, but we're having to build upon the confidence that those customers back in the day came to rely on NoVec, right? It was they knew, they trusted NoVec, they knew what it was, they trusted the people behind it because of the chemical engineers and everyone who put the quality into it. They trusted it. They depended on it. Now at Standard Fluids, we're almost in the same boat of trying to be like, look, it's the product and the applications are there. It's still the same applications, the same things that we're doing, but trust in the product, because NoVec is no longer available. NoVec is no longer a thing that people have to go to rely on. And I think that's why some people have these heightened questions and these concerns that come up, right? Because they hear FK5112. Most of the people we talk to, they're not chemical engineers. Like Kelvin's told me several times already, like he's not a chemical engineer, but they're not chemical engineers, and get them to understand what those differences are is a challenging thing to explain, because chemically, right? If you want to get down to the molecular level, these products are FK5112, but the quality and the trust of NoVec 1230 is the same quality, and the same team of people that you trusted behind NoVec 1230 is now the same team of people at Standard Fluids behind SF 1230.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll just touch on something because it's an important fact that needs to be known, in the evolution, and we're sticking in the fire protection lane right now. There's obviously a very important lane with engineered fluids and protecting the assets that are in liquid cooled computers, an example. But in the fire protection space, the evolution of that science was very important, and when the patent expired for NoVec in particular, there was some immediate knockout, we'll call them, generic products that came into the market. And as a responsible chemical company that we were when we were in our previous company, we were brought these materials to analyze. And as a result of what we discovered in those FKs that you're talking about, Nolan,
Yeah.
because we can attest that not all FKs are created equal, so we can say that without any uncertainty. And what happened was that the discovery of some of the impurities in those products, those other lookalikes, we had a responsibility to report them to the EPA and other bodies because of some of the impurities, even at a less than 1%, have some issues. So the NFPA standards were changed to ensure that at a minimum, you have to make sure that these impurities are not there in your product. So as the scientists that were involved in that discovery, we're there every day. I mean, we have a laboratory, we do the analysis, we're making sure that what has our brand on it is protecting your brand. And that's the really, it lets you sleep at night, lets me sleep at night knowing that what we have our product brands on it, provides that level of confidence and trust, because the companies that are relying on us have developed global brands as well, and they cannot risk being targeted for something that was cheaper, because that's the world that they feel like they need to live in. Because you can buy, instead of a regular iPhone, you can buy a generic iPhone, but how long is that going to last you? Again, again, a different subject, but at the end of the day, the purpose is to give that confidence and know that those customers that rely on good, solid performance and products, we're not here just to provide a drum of material. We're here to really stand up the industry and be behind the product that you depend on every day, even though it's sitting idle, or it may be every day. You might have $10 million worth of GPUs and CPUs that need to operate. And we make sure that that chemistry is aligned and dialed in to ensure the performance of those chips are optimum. Because in the backcourt, and the what's going on, those supercomputers is residing in a liquid that keeps them happy. So that place is really critical, and having the engineers that develop that, science, that understand it, that speak that language, which can be, a different tongue in all of itself, is really important. So that's where we come in, is really to be there to protect and to ensure that those products and systems are operating without any fault.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you've kind of hinted at it a little bit, and I think this is kind of a good opportunity to talk about our background. I say our being mine, both of your guys' backgrounds is in the fire protection space, but a big component and a big growth objective for Standard Fluids is these engineered fluids and these very specific applications that that you cannot have any deviation of that quality, right? Because the impact, like you mentioned, you could have millions and millions of dollars of sensitive computer electronical equipment, hear me, of this equipment that if there's any impurity or any, water content that comes up in these, that it could be horribly detrimental to these systems and stuff. Kelvin, I know you've started working with Steve. Steve's our engineered fluids extraordinaire, and you've been working with him on with some of the customers that he works with and stuff. And,
Yes.
I'd love to hear from that perspective. What do those customers look for, especially because this has been a short timeline for these markets of things, right? It goes back less than 10 years in some cases for immersion cooling and some of these precision cleaning applications. And some of these businesses and some of these organizations we work with, they got started with the NoVec products, right? And they were building on those businesses with the NoVec products, and they now need the quality that meets what the path that they were on. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do, right?
Yes, Nolan. And I mean, when I started, this is a little bit of history. I started actually working since 2010 all the way to 2014, specifically working with the engineered fluids. So I used to work a lot with medical device companies, heat transfer applications, and many others applications throughout the region. I was mostly, of course, as you guys know, in Latin America. Hence my accent. But I mean, we worked from Mexico all the way to Chile, working with applications of cooling systems with our engineered fluids for the metro in Mexico, using the contact cleaners with the HEP molecules that we now have in Standard Fluids, the same molecules, to ensure the precise cleaning of systems in the underground mines without any harm of being toxic nor flammable nor bad to the environment, right? Throughout many years. So this whole background of usage that we've done, I mean, cleaning the filters that clean the blood, for example, for how do you call it, for blood purification. Dialysis, yeah, thank you. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, so many things that we use, so many things that go behind in the industry of science that we actually, on a day-to-day do not know, are actually cleansed, worked by, protected, as Luis says, or processed with fluids whose exactitude in quality and specifications of performance are paramount for a proper process to take over. And that's what we're bringing over today with the new customers. Unfortunately, I mean, what happened when 3M left the market, we were about to break away with a lot of projects that we were planning, and it all got halted by the exit. And now we are in the process of reclaiming our position. I mean, a lot of people got scared, which I understand what happened, but we are here now reclaiming and getting back to it with the customers, doing retests. We're currently co-developing systems to show the people again, hey, here we are, and that's where we're going. We're going for enhanced cooling, enhanced cleaning, enhanced processing of data with SF230 and SF7100 and 72, 73, with a whole plethora of agents to make sure that our customers get the best level of performance with the best profile for safety in personal safety and an atmospheric and environmental profile. So that's what we're going to. And now with working with Steve on the new customers that we're getting, and being able to getting partners who are joining on with us, and they're looking forward to, hey, let's go here, let's go there, visit X client, Y client, and make things new and further develop what we were doing. It's really, really, really exciting. A really good time.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I think back to when you came into Standard Fluids, Well came into Standard Fluids, and Kelvin, within a few months, you had an opportunity to go to Europe, and you had never traveled to Europe before, and that was to go meet customers that you had not had the chance to meet before or anything. And there's lots of cool opportunities like that. I know we are making lots of great progress, and have a phenomenal colleague of ours over in the Middle East, Kamal. And I talk to Kamal somewhat regularly, and I've told him I'm practicing my Arabic on the chance that I get to go over there and visit him someday, because those are exciting things that we get to look forward to as part of building this, right? I mean, that was the true global impact of the products that we have, and the far reaches of the world that they get to, because there's fire protection everywhere around the world, right? There's sensitive infrastructure that needs cooling, especially with the changes for electricity demand, as everything becomes more electronic. It's super fascinating. It's a fun thing for us to all kind of dream about and talk about, and look back, and it's been some very exciting things over the past year. And what really kind of brought a lot of this conversation to the forefront was my travels, going and visiting, or going to conferences and meeting with potential customers, engineers, and even end users of these products, and trying to get an understanding of it, right? And where the generic to the brand, and where that comes into play. And there have been some questions around, what is a generic? I don't even know where to start. What do I look for? How do I navigate those things? That's inherently what comes with some generic applications, right? You can always go, if you got a part that goes wrong on your car, right? You can go to the OEM, you can go to the specific manufacturer, and you could get the part that has the quality that you already know is what they've trusted, right? Or you can try to navigate this generic that is like, well, is it actually a fit, right? Does this actually fit my car? Is there any drawbacks to using this? Could this potentially hurt my car more so, right? And ultimately having the trust and the verification of those is super important. And that's what the brand, like I said before, that's where the brand of these products comes in. It's the quality, it's the support, and the reassurance that the testing and procedures have been followed to make sure it meets those requirements for it. And that's been, for me, I feel like that's been a very beneficial conversation to have with some people that are trying to understand what this new market is, and where these generic products and where the brand product of Standard Fluids and SF fits into things. And I feel like that resonates really well, trying to bridge that gap of things, and that the quality and the trust was behind the brand with NoVec products. That same trust and the same quality is with the Standard Fluids products. And that's why NoVec was never thought of until the change in market more recently. It was never thought of as an FK 5112 agent. It was NoVec. It was a strong, well-grounded brand that everyone knew what came with it. And that's ultimately what we're doing at Standard Fluids. It takes time to build these things, but I feel like we're well on our way. So I've enjoyed this conversation with you guys, and kind of getting some of those things discussed. It's fun to talk about those. We obviously talk about these more internally in some of our sales meetings and some of our product meetings and everything. But ultimately, it's fun to do it in a forum like this, where we get to kind of share more candid stories and everything, and explain some of those things. So if you guys have any other thoughts that you kind of want to wrap up with, welcome to hear those. And then we'll close it out and open up for future discussions on another episode. So,
Nolan, I would add that, I mean, as we mentioned, before in this talk, and we've always mentioned, it's about the people. I mean, Standard Fluids is about the people. We always joked about, it's all about you, Paul. Remember, Louis?
Yes.
He used to say, it's all about you, Paul. But it's actually, it is, we say it out of fun, but it is actually part of the truth. It's all about Paul. It's all about Nolan. It's all about Luis. It's about Kamal. It's about the people who are here, there, and in Standard Fluids, and make a difference towards making a product that actually makes a difference to our customers, setting the standard higher, setting, a baseline. This is who we are, and we're going to raise the level, on time every time. And that's the purpose of us.
Yeah. So that, thanks, Nolan. This has been good. It's been a lot of fun to just kind of chat here, fireside discussion. But yeah, like Kelvin saying, bottom line is, when you think about, if, I used to drive Fords all the time, as an example. I love Ford Edges. That's all I ever drove. And I could trust and rely on my Edge all the time, uh, we're doing the same thing here. You've driven our car for the last 20 years. We tuned those engines up perfectly for you. You relied on that NoVec brand. The NoVec brand is either already disappeared or it's gone. But guess what? The team that developed that NoVec brand and brought that NoVec brand to you are here at Standard Fluids. So when you pivot, you need to understand that when you make a phone call to Standard Fluids, you're talking to the NoVec team that was there for you for the last 2 decades, maybe even longer. Because prior to the NoVec brand, there were other products, but at the end of the day, that's what we're here. And the company that developed that product is a company that was very well trusted and is still very well trusted today because they do their due diligence. And that's what we're about. We do our due diligence to ensure that what we provide you has met, a quality level that only our brand can go on. So, thanks, Nolan. This has been a lot of fun again. Look forward to doing some other, chats about this, other subjects. But, again, we're here to support you. And when you pick up the phone and call any of us at our team, you can guarantee you're going to get you're going to be able to speak to one of us anytime about any subject you need. And thank you again for your support. And again, when you pivot, Standard Fluids is here for you.
Yes. Yeah. Well said. Very well said, Louis. Again, if anyone listening or watching this episode, first of all, thank you. And please watch more of these for us. And if you have any other questions, whether you're an engineer, an end user, a manufacturer, or someone who just generally came across these products, has no idea what they do or anything, and you just want to learn more, reach out to us. Our website, standardfluids.com. And we're happy to answer any questions and have any discussions and just generally get knowledge and understanding out there. We're happy to share it, like Louis and Kelvin have both touched on. We've got a wealth of experience behind us with lots of great information to be shared, and we just want to share it. So get in touch with us. As always, you can come to us and get the solutions that you need from the people that you trust. Thanks from everyone at Standard Fluids, and we'll talk to you again on the next episode. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.